The tools a hunter uses to bring down the beasts in Monster Hunter World are vast and varied, but none are more important than the weapons they use. I'm Darcblade, and in this series of the Monster Hunter World weapons, we are going to be taking an overlook at the various weapons and tools of the game. In this episode, we're going to bring you an overview guide of the light bowgun. The light bowgun is one of the ranged weapons in the game. Whilst they are few in number, they nonetheless come with certain benefits when taking on a monster. Being able to keep your distance from a monster really helps when it comes to survivability. The light bowgun, along with its sister weapon, the heavy bowgun, also come in useful in their variety, as they can load different ammunitions, which provide different properties, buffs, debuffs, and more. On the whole as well, the light bowgun, compared to the heavy bowgun, is a lot lighter, as the name suggests. This allows the hunter to remain mobile with the weapon, at the cost of the weapon having heavy recoil and smaller ammo capacities. But anyway, let's get into the basics of the light bowgun. Now, as with the other episodes in this series, I will be quoting PlayStation controls, although if you are using a different system, you can either look down below in the description or work out the alternative buttons for yourself. The light bowgun has very few basic moves. First of all, you have aim, which is done by holding down L2. Afterwards, you can fire the weapon with R2. Anyone who is familiar with third-person shooter games will be familiar with how the bowgun works. It also comes with a few extra moves. These include ammo select, which is done with holding L1 and pressing X or triangle. This will allow you to select different ammo types. You also have reload, which is done with triangle. A melee attack, which is done with triangle and circle, although this is not really that useful. And finally, there is the place Wyvern blast, which causes the hunter to shoot into a ground, a Wyvern blast trap. But we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, let's move away from the very basics and talk about the functions of the light bowgun. First, we'll talk about the Wyvern blast traps. If you notice in the bottom right hand corner above your ammo types, there are 3 shells which can be placed with circle. These represent the Wyvern blasts you can place down. Once you press circle, the hunter will shoot into the ground, a proximity mine that will explode when walked into by a monster. Whilst the practicalities of this move when on the offense can be questionable, it comes in handy on defense. If a monster approaches your location and you have Wyvern blast set up, it can delay their attack against you, giving you room to retreat. The good thing about the Wyvern blast bombs are that they regenerate automatically over time, so they are not something you have to farm for or worry about running out completely during a hunt. The next function is the multiple reloads. As you're fighting a monster, sometimes instead of stopping to reload, it is better to just switch to a different ammo type rather than reloading the weapon. This will allow you to continuously assault a monster without having to stop to reload. However, there will be times when you've used up all your ammo and you have to stop to reload. Now, if you've done the tactic of switching between different ammo types to keep the assault going, you can reload all the ammo types at once by holding down triangle. This is a long maneuver though, so it's best done out of combat. The last function you need to be aware of is the weapon doesn't have an infinite range, so once a monster is out of reach of your specific ammo type you are using at the time, an outer range indicator will be shown on your crosshairs. So this is something to be aware of. Now, the light bowgun unfortunately doesn't actually have any combos available to it. Normally I would use this section to talk about basic combos, but I will instead talk about some of the basic ammo types available to the light bowgun. Whilst there may be more in the full game, during the beta we had access to dragon rounds, which was imbued ammo that packs a punch against monsters who are weak to dragon type attacks. You had freeze ammo that was useful for enemies who were susceptible to ice attacks, flaming ammo, which was useful against enemies who were weak to fire, sticky ammo, which is an extremely powerful ammo type that lodges itself into a target and then explodes. This can also result in stunning the enemy as well. You had spread ammo, which is more akin to a shotgun blast, pierce ammo that could pierce through enemies, hitting multiple times, water ammo that deals extra damage to enemies who are susceptible against water attacks, thunder ammo, which deals extra damage against enemies weak to thunder, paralysis ammo that can paralyze a monster, however it requires multiple shots on the target in order for this effect to occur. Poison ammo that could result in the monster becoming poisoned, again this required multiple shots to occur. Slicing ammo that was good for severing monster parts like tails, and normal ammo, which is your normal basic shots. But anyway, let's move on to talk about the pros and cons of the light bowgun. Its biggest pro is it's a ranged weapon. Thus you're able to keep your distance from a monster while still dealing damage to them. This can really help with your survivability. Its second pro is the variety of ammunition the weapon has. Not only can it damage or debuff an enemy, but the fact that you can switch between different ammo types on the fly and not have to reload in between means that you can potentially continuously assault a monster. However, the biggest con for the weapon is that it does require farming and micromanagement. If you want the weapon to be at its best, you have to stock up on the different ammunition types. So when the main game is out, just remember that you have to stock up on the different materials needed for the different ammo types. Overall, the light bowgun for me was one of the middle of the road weapons. Whilst its damage output may not be the highest, the fact that it has high survivability, thanks to it being a light weapon and allowing you to keep your mobility as well as the whiff and blast bombs, it came in handy on some of the more dangerous hunts. It's definitely not the most complex of weapons. The complexity, in all honesty, comes with the management of your ammo. The whiff and blast bombs are useful enough, but their internal cooldown is fairly slow, so you can't place them all the time. The biggest tip I would say is learn what the different ammo types do, what is best for the situation. If you want a straightforward ranged weapon, but comes with a lot of potential thanks to the ammo types, and still has decent mobility, then I would recommend the light bowgun. Now remember that this first series of videos are overviews taken from the beta of Monster Hunter World. Once the game is fully released, expect much more in-depth videos of the different weapons and tools of the game. So I hope you found this video interesting, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you an overview of the light bowgun in Monster Hunter World. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.